She called 911 on me and screamed into the phone that I had attacked her with a garden hose, swore I was threatening her life. And I remember standing there in my own driveway, barefoot in fuzzy slippers, holding nothing more than a plastic watering wand, thinking, this is it. This is the day my life blows up because of a lie. The sirens were already echoing down the street, and my heart dropped into my stomach. But the woman had no idea what she'd just set in motion. My wife, the one person in the world who never bragged about her job, was about to change everything. I'm Daniel Carter, 45 years old. Been selling medical equipment for most of my career. Beds, wheelchairs, nothing glamorous, but it pays well enough, and I've learned to keep my cool when people try to push me around. Doctors with God complexes, administrators who love to say no just to feel powerful. I've seen it all. Or at least, I thought I had. Until the Saturday morning when our HOA president, Melissa Harding, showed up on my porch. Melissa is 48, newly divorced, and apparently decided that micromanaging every blade of grass in the neighborhood was her new life's mission. She arrived dressed like she was on the cover of a real estate magazine, clipboard in hand, eyes a little too wide, hands shaking like she was holding herself together with sheer force of will. I need to inspect your backyard for violations, she said, like she was reading me a court summons. I was in my pajamas, coffee mug still steaming, blinking at her like, "What planet are you from?" I asked what violation, specifically, and that's when her smile twisted. Section 4.7 Landscaping Standards, she snapped, like she had a badge. My training from years in sales kicked in. You always demand specifics. When I pressed her to actually show me the rule, she couldn't, just blustered about HOA authority. That's when I called for my wife, Emily, who stepped into the doorway finishing a phone call. "Just ask for proper documentation," she whispered to me, calm as ever. Bullies hate paperwork. I thought it was just good advice. I didn't know then that her words were foreshadowing everything, so I demanded it in writing. Watching Melissa try to scratch down a violation notice on the spot was pure comedy. She claimed my rosebush was illegal, that my beige siding was the wrong shade, and that my hose reel counted as excessive equipment. It was absurd. But when I compared her citations to the actual 2023 HOA handbook, they were from the outdated 2019 version. In other words, my roses were perfectly fine, and she was completely rattled. That night, doorbell cam caught her sneaking onto my porch at nearly midnight, shoving more bogus notices under my door like some deranged paper fairy. That's when the pit in my stomach grew. I realized this wasn't just a busybody neighbor. This was obsession. Emily stayed strangely calm, analyzing Melissa like she was a case study. "This is escalation," she told me over breakfast. "She's building a paper trail, not for gardening issues, but for something bigger." I wanted to laugh it off, but then 6 a.m. sharp became our new nightmare alarm clock. Every single morning, Melissa pounded on the door, demanding compliance verification. Imagine trying to sip your first cup of coffee while a woman in a blazer is outside screaming about roses and hoses like it's a federal emergency. I started recording everything: photos, timestamps, video. Melissa's hair got messier, her eyes wider, each day looking more unhinged. And Emily, my mysterious wife, would just watch with that cool detachment, jotting notes like a therapist. "She's escalating toward dangerous territory," she said. It sent a chill through me. How would Emily know that so precisely? Weeks passed. And Melissa took it further. She built a private Facebook group, Hilltop Standards Committee, convincing dozens of neighbors to join, posting daily rants about certain residents undermining community order. She never named me, but everyone knew. Suddenly, my neighbors looked at me differently. People whispered in the grocery store. Some crossed the street to avoid me. I thought it was ridiculous, over a rose bush. But then Melissa crossed the line. She somehow found out who my top clients were. 3 hospital systems that made up most of my income. And she called them, posing as a concerned neighbor. She claimed I was under police investigation for aggression toward women. When one of those doctors called me personally, asking if there was anything they needed to know, I nearly dropped the phone. My entire career, 15 years of reputation, was on the line because of a lie. And that's when doubt hit me like a truck. One night, I sat in my garage staring at that stupid rosebush. Max, the golden retriever, curled at my feet. And I whispered, "Maybe I should just cut it down, buddy. Maybe this isn't worth it." For the first time, I pictured myself giving up, letting her win, just to make it stop. The fear was heavy, losing my job, my neighbor's respect, my peace of mind. Maybe I was stubborn. Maybe I was wrong to dig in. But then, something twisted in my chest. If I gave her what she wanted, would it end? Or would she find something else? My fence, my dog, my paint color? I knew the answer. Bullies don't stop when you surrender. They smell weakness and come back for more. That night I swore to myself I'd fight back, not with anger, but with evidence. Turns out, I had plenty. Emily helped me comb through the files, and we found the metadata on those bruise photos Melissa had posted, timestamps from an hour before our supposed encounter. She was staging injuries in advance. Jessica, a neighbor who worked with HOA finances, came to me shaking. She'd found thousands siphoned to a fake company tied to Melissa's apartment. Fraud, stalking, false reports. This wasn't about flowers. This was about power. And it was about to explode. Then came the morning she brought her nuclear option. I was in my robe watering plants when she stormed into my driveway. Hair wild, eyes manic. "This is it. Daniel," she announced, like she was about to deliver a death sentence. "You're going to learn what real consequences look like." I told her to leave or I'd call the cops. That's when she smiled. A cold, predator smile. "Perfect," she said, pulling out her phone, right there, in front of me. She dialed 911, sobbing theatrically. "Help me! My neighbor is attacking me with a weapon. He's threatening to kill me." I stood 20 feet away, stunned, dripping water from a hose, while she spun her Oscar-worthy performance. The police car arrived within minutes. Officer Lee separated us, interviewed her first. And I'll admit, she was convincing, shaking, crying, describing details of threats that never happened. If I didn't have my recordings, even I might have doubted myself. My chest was tight. Was this really happening? Was I about to lose everything because of her lies? And then, Emily's car pulled into the driveway. For the first time, I noticed the decal on her bumper. Regional Police Training Academy. Officer Lee's whole demeanor shifted. "Instructor Carter?" he asked, like recognizing a professor. My knees nearly gave out. My quiet, unassuming wife was the one who trained these officers in crisis de-escalation. And suddenly, the entire universe tilted. Melissa froze mid-sob, realization hitting her like a truck. She had called 911 to stage a fake assault. On the husband of a police training instructor. Emily walked up calm as a surgeon, shook Lee's hand, and said, "Officer, if you review his footage, you'll see clear premeditation in her false report. This is textbook." She explained with clinical precision the markers of false victimization, inconsistent timelines, exaggerated emotion, lack of corroborating evidence. Lee compared my doorbell footage to Melissa's story, and the difference was devastating. One showed me watering plants, politely asking her to leave. The other described violent threats with weapons that never existed. Neighbors had gathered, phones out, and the collective gasp when truth crushed her lies was unforgettable. Melissa's face drained of color. She sputtered accusations about conspiracies, about Emily abusing her role. But the more she screamed, the more unstable she looked. Lee's body cam captured it all. Right there, on my lawn, Melissa's empire collapsed. The woman who spent months parading authority, terrorizing families, trying to destroy my career, was exposed as a fraud in front of her own supporters. Officer Lee told her calmly, "Ma'am, filing a false police report is a criminal offense. Detectives will contact you." And then, as if scripted by fate, her phone buzzed. A message from her cousin Megan. "They know about the other neighborhoods." Melissa's knees nearly buckled. Years of harassment campaigns in other communities were unraveling at once. She wasn't just losing this battle, she was losing her entire mask. I didn't cheer, I didn't even speak. I just watched her stand there, trembling, realizing the world she built on fear had finally turned against her. Neighbors who once backed her shook their heads, stepping away, embarrassed they'd ever believed her. Melissa's voice cracked as she whispered, "I need to call my lawyer." But it was too late. The damage was done, not by me, but by her own arrogance, by her need to control and destroy. I stood silent, finally breathing freely, as the woman who tried to take everything from me walked away defeated, cornered by the very system she thought she could manipulate. That's the moment I'll never forget. The quiet after the storm. The sight of her retreating while the weight lifted off my chest. She wanted power. She wanted obedience. She wanted me crushed. Instead, she destroyed herself. And all I had to do was stand my ground, document the truth, and let justice do the rest. And that, right there, is why I'll never bow to a bully again. Because in the end, no matter how loud they scream or how many lies they stack, the truth has a way of burning through. And that's the lesson I carry with me. The one I want you to remember from my story, on HOA Drama Unfolded. Sometimes the simplest act of standing firm is the most powerful weapon you'll ever have.